get the feeling that EVs in Singapore are all starting to look the same? I mean, everywhere we go, it's either a BYD, a Tesla, an MG, or another BYD. I mean, they are great cars, but don't you think that we should have like a sprinkle of excitement once in a while? Well, I do. So, when this car arrived on our shore, yes, this 007, specifically the Dongfeng 007. I was intrigued and excited. No, it's not an Aston Martin, but it also looks great from some angles. And no, there's no fancy gadgets on this car either. Specifically, not the scissor doors and the motorized spoiler that the Chinese version has. But this car has a combat mode. So, what do I really think of the Dongfeng 007? Aside from that it's different? Well, spoiler alert, it's not a fantastic car, but you might still want to get it. Before we get into anything, let me make this very clear. Now, this is not going to be a typical car review video. Certainly not the motoring journalistic kind of review that you can easily find on other car platform and review channels. And no, this is not one of those polished lifestyle review that influencers do either, saying that this car fits their lifestyle perfectly when they are paid to do it. Of course, they will say that this car is the best. In fact, if you want to find a review on this Dongfeng 007, well, good luck, because right now, outside of China, Hong Kong and Sri Lanka, it's actually quite difficult to find any proper reviews of the Dongfeng 007. Almost none in English. Singapore is one of the very few places in the world where this car is officially available. So this video might actually be one of the first proper English reviews you'll find online. And another thing, this is not a media loan car from either of Dongfeng agents here in Singapore. This is a brand new car with less than 2,000 kilometers on it from a subscriber who selflessly and bravely offered me the opportunity to review his personal car. Maybe you also knew that the authorized dealers will probably not want to work with me because of my style of car reviews. So thank you so much to this subscriber who prefers to remain anonymous. But still, I will still not pretend that this car is all good because of that. I'll just give my honest thoughts. But I hope, well, this video is also done in a way that also respects the fact that this car is quite unique. And actually, there are some aspects that are actually quite interesting. So at this point, let me tell you who this video is not for. Now, this video is not for people who only want to hear good things about every EV. Now, I'm an EV advocate, not an EV suck-up who sings praises about all and every EV, even the widely popular BYDs and Teslas. Now, if that's your expectation, then you probably are going to be very disappointed very quickly. So with that, with all the cult EV lovers, the Dongfeng supporters, and perhaps even the authorized agents having swept the video away, let's just get the painful parts out of the way. Well, first, the build quality. Well, honestly, I think it feels like it's a tad below the segment average. I mean, it's nothing catastrophic like things are falling apart in a cheap Stellantis model or a lousy Chinese car from 10 years ago. But if you are set in a Model 3, a Hype-Tech, a Zeekr, even in my humble BYD, you'll probably feel the difference. Now, even my crew says how come the interior looks a bit dated, like in a 5-year-old car. I'm not sure if it's the plasticky look and the feel, or is it the design? But when I asked them how they felt with the minimalist Tesla that they also sat in before, and even in my BYD, they claimed that the materials used in those brands felt more premium. Well, let's just say that while the build is not terrible, it is just not top-notch. Then, being an audio enthusiast who used to play with eyes or in-car entertainment a lot in the 2000s, when I read that there are 19 speakers in this car, I was intrigued. I was expecting it to be much better than my 12 in my Seal. But this Wannabe sound system was a big letdown. The output sounds like laptop and phone speakers. It's not immersive, it's not punchy, it's not deep. And if you think I didn't play around with the sound settings, right? I have tried everything. Maybe if you know what I missed, do let me know, alright? I mean, if you want an example of a premium but stock sound system in a car, you should experience the 22-speaker Dolby Atmos system in the Hype-Tech HT. I was blown away when I first auditioned it a few weeks ago. And then there's a tech. There's no phone app still. I mean, this is 2025 and this is really quite unforgivable. In the car, right, there are also very limited apps. And as a modern EV today, I feel like the car was released before the software department was ready. Sort of like what Apple did with their iPhone 16 launch, even though their Apple Intelligence was years from being ready. Next, handling-wise, well, it's an okay car. I mean, the suspension is okay, although I think it's set to more comfort bias. The steering turns alright at expressway speeds, though at slower speeds it feels a tad vague with a rather big dead zone. And it feels like it doesn't really want to communicate with what's happening under the wheels. Now, to be fair, easily 60 to maybe 70% of cars are like that. And acceleration-wise, it's sufficient for an EV. I mean, this particular car is a Cat A Prestige version that delivers 99 kilowatt for a 8.2 second century sprint. So at least it's not slow. It gets up to speed quite reasonably. But one thing I'm somewhat disappointed at is the road noise. Perhaps because I'm rather sensitive to sound and noise. And I'm not talking about the wind noise, because I discovered that this is an extremely slippery car with an ultra-low drag coefficient of 0.209 CD. The windshield and the windows, though it doesn't look like it's double glazed, still do a great job. But the cabin still lets in quite a bit of tyre rumble, and you can hear it especially around 70 to 90 kilometers per hour. Perhaps it's tyres? I mean, this is the first time I've seen this brand, Wannabe, and ChatGPT tells me that this is an entry-level budget tyre brand. So on our Singapore expressways, I can definitely hear the tyre roar and the roughness coming through the cabin. And moreover, with a heavy footed sprint or more aggressive drive, I don't get the confidence I should be getting in such a wide, low-slung and big sedan. So yeah, the shortcomings of this car might be deal breakers for some people. And well, that's why I started with the negative half of the story first. So you know exactly what you're walking into. And for those of you who are still watching till this point, perhaps you are the exact audience to this Dongfeng 007. Well, since you're still here, why not give the video a like and subscribe to my channel? By now you can see that I don't sugarcoat my words because I'm paid too. And I don't want to be another guy praising the exact same things that all car reviewers say in their videos, right? So with your support, I can bring you more videos like this one with uncensored views. Even when dealers are apprehensive of loaning their cars to me because of my frankness. Anyway, to thank this subscriber for bravely lending me his personal car for this video, I have to do something for him. So because road noise is one of the weaknesses of this car, I brought the car over to the sponsor of this video, Tyre Private Limited. We are here to change away his lousy stock tyres. Now, as we exchange the tyres to a better set, let me tell you more about Tyre Private Limited. Now, they are the exclusive distributors of Lassa EV tyres. And if you haven't heard of Lassa, well, this brand is actually part of Brisa, one of Europe's largest and most established tyre groups. And they are a joint venture between the Sabancı Group in Turkiye and the Bridgestone Corporation in Japan. Yes, that Bridgestone. So although the name Lassa might sound unfamiliar, the company behind it is definitely not small. Lassa has a dedicated line of EV tyres designed specifically for the heavier weights of EVs. They are instant torque, and most importantly, at least to me, the quietness of the EVs. So thanks to Tyre Private Limited for sponsoring this segment of the video, and the Lassa tyres for the 007's owner. If you're considering to change to new Lassa EV tyres at a fantastic price, and especially when you want to get rid of the cheap stock Chinese rubbers that came with your car immediately, well, do pop by Tyre Private Limited at Caro Center and tell them that Colin from Learn sent you. You'll be surprised how affordable these tyres are, considering their wet performance, low noise quality, grip, and energy efficiency. Don't believe? Well, since we have changed to the new Lassas, let's check out the difference. So immediately after driving out with the new tyres, the cabin felt noticeably quieter, especially on the small roads. And the roughness of the expressway surface was also softened, and the tyre roar at higher speed reduced quite significantly. Now, these are the noise levels I've measured with the stock 1D tyres that have done only around 2,000 kilometers, and these are the figures after the Lassa EV tyres. It's really quite noticeable. Well, in terms of handling, cornering also felt more planted, especially on wet roads. Even when this car is in combat mode, the grip and stability definitely felt like they have improved. Overall, the driving experience became more pleasant, and we saved more energy even. I mean, so much about the car was let down just because of a set of cheap stock tyres. And we solved many of those issues with just one change of a set of affordable tyres. Okay, now that we have balanced out the negativity, let's talk about the good things of the Dongfeng 007, because there are quite a few, starting with the exterior. Now, the Dongfeng 007 really looks good, especially at some angles, and it exudes a sense of sportiness. I mean, it's like the 2020 Hyundai Avante when it was unveiled. There were many hard angles, there's a full-piece tail lamp, and the grille looked rather unique. And this 007 gives me the same feel. Some people even compare this car to the Lotus Emeya or the Porsche Panamera, but while I have a differing view, I think it still has presence. Now, the 007 is a big sedan at nearly 4.9 meters long and slightly narrower than 1.9 meters. So it really compares to a BMW 5 Series or a Mercedes E-Class without paying the premium prices. And speaking about prices, this Cat A Prestige variant is under $180,000 as at the time of this shoot. And elsewhere on the exterior, I find the front end design to be modern and sharp. Now, the separated headlamps design can be a bit polarizing, but after a while, I kind of can guess why Dongfeng did this. Perhaps it is to look like the 7 in the model name. Anyway, at the rear, the light bar is exquisitely designed. I really like these jagged teeth in the light bar. And together with the shoulder creases and the angular lines throughout this fastback body shape, the whole car gives a kind of futuristic EV vibe, which is quite different from the conservative designs we see with BYD and MG, and certainly the curvier cues on a Tesla. Interior-wise, the cabin is spacious. The headroom and the legroom for the driver and the front passengers are perfectly fine. At the rear seats, I at 1.8 meters tall can fit alright. Although I somehow find that the Model 3s and the Seal's rear seats to be much roomier, and I can put my feet under the front seats in those cars better. Now, rear passengers get aircon vents, though there's no control, but they also get a pair of USBs. And rear seat passengers will enjoy the huge glass roof too. And what's so special in this car is that the middle rear seat gets a full-size headrest. Good for comfort and safety, but bad for the driver when I need to look into the rear view mirror. In a way, even without any passengers, the rear view is quite useless. Anyway, back to the front. At the driver's seat, you get a 2-spoke steering wheel with some hard buttons. Good, though the ACC or ICC button is not found here. Now, if the owner didn't tell me, I wouldn't have guessed that it's activated via a double tap on the gear shifter. I mean, I was kind of apprehensive with moving the gear stick in the middle of a 90 km/h drive, wouldn't you? Well, anyway, the gear shifter is on the right side, just like in a Mercedes. And the left stalk is for signaling and light control. And frankly, this has been my most favorite stock layout in all my cars before because of the ergonomics. Now about the ACC and Level 2 assisted driving. I think Dongfeng's software still have a bit to be developed. Now during my test, the automated steering seems finicky. I can only describe it like I am in a bowling lane with the guardrails on. Now the car keeps adjusting me from right to left to right, especially when I'm in a minor bend. But I think these things can be sorted out with a future firmware update. But what I think has to be fixed immediately is the very irritating lane keep assistance. I think it's on by default after every car start, and if I don't signal while turning, even when I am near to the rightmost lane because I need to give space for those Malaysian bikes overtaking on my left, the steering keeps pushing me back to the left. And this steering motor is strong, not in a good way. So drivers who are not used to this might think that the car is possessed. Back to the interior, in terms of screens, you get one 8.8-inch driver's display with the usual clutter of everything on there that's typical of Chinese EVs. But unlike in a BYD, the traffic animation is actually decent. And at the center of the dash is a 15.6-inch screen that is for every other function, from playing your radio stations to adjusting your side mirrors to setting your ADAS, which you actually have the full suite in this car. Entertainment-wise, there's only ambient lighting, which honestly is a baseline feature in any modern cars nowadays. Like I mentioned, the sound system is a letdown, and there's no browser, no games, and no apps. Hopefully, at least not yet. Storage-wise, the center cup holders are covered with this flip-up panel, which is good to cover up dust, but I feel OCD people like me will never dare to press open it because I'll leave fingerprints on the piano black plastic. Anyway, the center box storage is okay in capacity, but I don't know. It seems like this other storage below, right, has a design flaw due to the seats. When the seats are in their normal position, I cannot reach underneath at all. Oh, speaking of seats, the driver's seat slide back when the door is open, good for drivers with long legs. And the driver's seat also comes with speakers in the headrest. And this is the first time I experienced this in any car. And I tell you, this is groundbreaking when I have navigation instructions from my CarPlay playing directly into my ears while the regular music is played without being muted. Why didn't this get invented earlier? Okay, let's continue with the boot, which is huge. Being a fastback with a lift-up tailgate, which includes the rear windscreen, the 007's boot is easily one of the biggest in its segment. Now, Dongfeng claims 452 litres, but I think they are modest, especially with another tier of storage under the floorboard. And up front, there's a frunk too, but it's more like a big glove box than a trunk. Still, you know where to put your service manuals and perhaps a small tool sets. So overall, when you look at the car's exterior and interior and its practicality, it does feel like Dongfeng is trying to put in a lot of car for the price, emphasizing on the word trying. But when we compare it to the competition, which offhand I can point out that there are 6 or 7 of them, which are the Tesla Model 3, the BYD Seal, and possibly the Seal 06, the Polestar 2, the new IM5, the super budget Aeon ES sedan, and the JM EV Elite, so under the same dealer too. So this Dongfeng still has a value proposition. By the way, I didn't include the luxury segment EV sedans like those from Mercedes, BMW and Porsche because they are simply at another league. So what's the proposition of this car? Who is the Dongfeng 0074? Now before I share my take on this, let me tell you a short personal story of my first car. So back in the mid-90s when I could finally afford a car, I wanted a sedan because SUV and MPVs weren't popular at that time. And I didn't want the typical Japanese cars, you know, the Toyota Corolla, the Honda Civic and the Nissan Sunny. So I chose Korean, which is the Hyundai Elantra. Some of you might remember the cat's eye model back then. Yes, that's the one that I bought as my first car. Now, in fact, I almost wanted to get the Nissan Brisa, but it wasn't selling anymore at that time. So my point is, there is always a demand for a car model, however small it is. And similarly for this Dongfeng 007, there will surely be a group of fans. So firstly, the would-be owner wouldn't want to be the one who pays beyond $200,000 for an EV sedan. And likewise, he's not considering a budget ride in the $150,000 segment either. So this leaves the Model 3, the Seal, and perhaps the Seal 06. And really, these are Tesla and BYD, and they are the Hondas and the Toyotas in the 80s and 90s. They are everywhere, and they are boring. No, that's not what the Dongfeng 007 owner is looking for. Instead, he is someone who wants to stand out from the crowd. Never mind the comparatively lack of features or the ordinary cabin, the OK sound system, the missing app, and never mind the drive isn't groundbreaking. It just needs to be good enough. What's more important for him is the distinctive design that other Tesla and BYD drivers will turn their heads on the road and ask, what's this James Bond looking car? So really, if you are someone who needs the absolute highest level of refinement, build and quality and technology, this car is not for you. Now, if you're coming from a Continental car and expect premium feel, this car is not for you. If you absolutely must have the latest tech, you need to control your car on a phone and you need an exquisite infotainment system, this car is not for you. So at the end of the day, the Dongfeng 007 is definitely not for everyone. But it is for someone. Someone like you. And if you've been looking to make this car your own, well, you are definitely not buying it to blend in. You're buying it because you want something different, something that's not the obvious choice, something that is with presence. Oh, just change the stock tires to the Lassa tires to make the Dongfeng 007 uniquely yours. Remember to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow towards my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. And for you, you can expect to watch more uncommon, less mainstream, and more unique EV videos just like this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.